Kislev.
Oh, you nailed it.
I had it the first time.
Welcome to Sheni v'Chamishi. Look at that plane coming in. Right there. Juicy plane. Oh, it keeps moving out because it's so quick and the camera can't catch it. You see that? Wow, how the focus chases it. Anyway, quick vart on Chanukah, and I wanted to catch a nice sunset, but it didn't work today. Somehow the sun is hiding. Yeah, that's the plane. Oh wow. You can see it now. It's going to the local airport. People want to close down the airport. The whole fight's about it. About money. Just like the Beis HaMikdash and the Chanukah story. A lot of money going to animal sacrifices. They want the money to go to the gymnasium and Greeks. A quick vart on Chanukah and Kislev. The Rebbe would like to connect it a lot. The Rebbe would like to do a lot of interesting things with the sichos and definitely be philosophical but also be mystical. And I'll explain what that means. The Rebbe asks the question, why could the Chashmonaim not use the oil even though it was touched? According to halacha, you could use it, especially when you need it. And the Rebbe gives a whole explanation. So I just want to throw in a little history. Chashmonaim and the Prushim, the Pharisaics, different people, different ideas, different understandings. The temple wasn't a place where people would sit and learn and go with their finger all day. That's not what it was. There were different types of Jews that were getting tired of Hellenios, these offensive Greek, Roman, pagan images on their flags and what they would bring into Jerusalem, and they were tired of that. Some were militant, some were not. Some were just like, they took their books and they went to the hills to hang out and learn. So the halachic system, Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim b'chaim, and many of them dismissed each other, they didn't respect each other, but don't forget that the survival of Judaism is the fact that everybody accepted everybody. Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim b'chaim, which means everybody has a different opinion and it's all accepted. That's just like Butman with the Menaidah in Manhattan. So when you ask the local people there, what do you think, which Menaidah is bigger? They say, we don't care. We just want to have a place to gather and have a good time and have a good Yom Tov. So that connects to Yutas Kislev. Is Yutas Kislev it's definitely a Hasidic holiday, and it's definitely Russian history. Somebody posted today that was Jewish history, Yutas Kislev, or Jewish history. It's not Jewish history. It's either Hasidic or Russian, but it can't be. Definitely, the Hasidim had a lot with the people around them in terms of the mysticism and the teachings. They reached out to people around them, Goyim. Just because it didn't last doesn't mean it wasn't very rich at the time. It's just because it didn't last, because that's the nature of it. And somebody told me that this thing over here, the way this cone is shaped, that you could see the solstice where the sun sets. It's supposed to be like a winter solstice. Oh, I get a good echo in here with the mic. Great. Oh, let's do it. So anyway, talking about Hasidism in Russia, the Alter Rebbe never claimed to be the only authority on Chassidus, and he didn't claim to be an authority at all. Even though he was a Rav and a Poisik and a Tana Upalig, what they would call him, it wasn't his thing. He believed that you could find God in your own way. He doesn't have the ultimate truth. The Tanya was basically answers to people's problems, that they came to him and they had different lots of issues. So he would answer them and tell them don't fast on shorter days. And the little bit of suffering you have in this world is good for the next afterlife, as they believed. These were strong believers. They say faith is like a fishing hook. Easy to swallow, very hard to pull it out. You know, so he couldn't tell these people, look, you believe in a bunch of nonsense anyway, and what kind of God would even think so? But that simple rational didn't work for such people, so he gave them the Likutei Eitzos, the Tanya. Reb Nachman of Breslov, I think, had a similar book, or Reb Nosson may have fabricated it himself, and wrote that book for people to help them with their problems. Why? Because there were two. There was the authority, the halacha, that would answer people what type of rituals to do, what type of laws to follow, how to wash your hands. And then there was the mystics that came afterwards, where people had other questions. They weren't particularly asking when to pray and when to pray. And they would daven in their own time, so there was more of a spiritual thing. It wasn't abiding by the law. don't forget that the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe did not come because Judaism became intellectualized. No. They came because it became spiritualized, which means it was no longer the Dal Damas Shel Halacha Bilvad. The Torah wasn't limited to the Poskim anymore. The philosophers didn't care either way. The mystics didn't care about the halacha. They just cared about, it was an art for them. Religion to them was an art, the mystics. The Baal Shem Tov found God in nature, probably like Spinoza, pantheism, where God and nature is one, which leaves very little room for the Bible, for the story of God walking in the Garden of Eden, lighting people on fire and other things. But in yeshiva, you get it in a lump sum. You get the whole history very poorly defined. And that's why most people you'll meet today don't have a relationship with the text, and they wake up and they're like, wow, I've been thinking this for 20 years and it doesn't make any sense. Wow. So Yutas Kislev is probably later, it makes sense to say, and the theory is very strong here, that later people got the idea that they made it like the Alter Rebbe was, he was a mamshich of the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid, and it's a whole train, and you're either on the train or you're off the train. But there were many interpretations of it, and the Alter Rebbe had many friends and many enemies, unfortunately, because these were closed-minded people. But he definitely wasn't trying to set up a organization or a monolithic, ownership. This was definitely a practice of the Poskim. They fought on whose text is going to be the mainstream. They didn't say, look, you like me? Follow me. You like the Bavli? Follow the Bavli. You like the Yashami? Follow the Yashami. You want to follow Sfardik, Ashkenaz, Minig? That came in democracy. Once people started becoming citizens and the halacha no longer had its power, it wasn't state law anymore, and it was the citizen and Enlightenment and Napoleon. That's when people said, oh, my Minig is the White Sox and your Minig is the Blue Sox, and if you just do anything. But he really cared for people, and the small monkey said to him, if you're not a real Rebbe, why don't you just tell these people that it's all bullshit and let them be happy? And that's a very fine line, because I don't think it was possible for him to do that, and I don't think even that he was really trying to get people to suffer more. There are certain poskim even today that would be accused of being very harsh on the gullible people by giving them harsh laws like fasting. You're not sure which day to fast, so fast 2 or 3 days. So there were such poskim that did things that were obviously unnecessary, but that was their way of seeing things, and they misled people and made them suffer. Some say, Shmuel Munkis asked Alter Rebbe, if you're a real Rebbe, so stand in front of the bullet when the guy was going to shoot the revolver. And if you're not a real Rebbe, who lets you take away people's, take away their geschmack in Elam Hazeh, but not to tell them to suffer. Okay, he was more like a mystic, telling them to let go of the pleasures of this world because it's all upsetting, and it's all, he probably got this from the East, or whoever brought it from the East taught it to him. These concepts of not wanting and not needing all the stuff. So that's, you have that in, you have a lot of that in Chassidus. Definitely to be less indulgent and so on and so forth. Yeah. And then you have what do you call them? So you have Chanukah. So the Rebbe asks what the question about the kanoim and the halacha about the oil. 2 different times. So any historian will tell you it makes no sense to. Okay, Rose, you can't do that. I'll give you something. No, don't put it in your mouth. No. I'll give you, come here, I'll give you something else. Okay, we're going to have to fight now. Okay. So the guy says to me, there's going to be a sunset, it's going to be so nice. And I was like, nah, there's not going to be any sunset. Now look what you get. See that? The sky? So anyway, about Chanukah and about Yutas Kislev, both Chanukah and Yutas Kislev could be secular holidays. They could be. The question is, could Yutas Kislev be a secular holiday? And the answer is yes. Rabbi Druckmann in Israel was telling a group of people yesterday how Yudtes Kislev in Russia, people would go and drink mashke and they would celebrate. And he thought that that's some type of magical power. It's not. Those were grandchildren of Chabad people. A lot of them were even living in kibbutzim, and their parents, grandparents became idealists. But they had a tradition, and a holiday is nice and it's sweet, especially a holiday about a tzaddik that got out of jail. It's a sweet one. It's much more fun than celebrating Chanukah, which is about a bunch of zealots winning a war. But how did Chanukah become popular in America? That when Rabbi Butman lights his menorah, secular or traditional or Manhattan Jews come out and non-halachic Jews come out to celebrate. It's because it was popularized by the Reform in the 1800s during the Haskalah. Oh my Lord! Oh God! God is mitir. Look at the sky. So because of that, that's why the Chanukah became popular. And same for Yudtes Kislev. It's popular among secular people who have a tradition who come from Chabad. A lot of these people come from Chabad. Otherwise, they don't celebrate it. Even Torah Jews don't celebrate it. There was a Hasidic Rebbe celebrating Yudtes Kislev because it was a yard site. I said, did he mention the Alter Rebbe at all? I don't know what the name of it. Some of these names of these Hasidices. It's an old man. It looks like he's crippled. Like that's how they think a tzaddik looks. The Rebbe was more of a general, of a soldier. He walked. He carried his own bag. He was fit. And all these guys would walk, and you give them a handshake, and then they feel like their hand is numb. You know, that's what a mystic is by them. Some guy in Tzfas or somewhere was making a celebration, and I asked, did they speak about Yudtes Kislev? I asked my friend who was sending me the video. He says, no, they don't even mention the Alter Rebbe B'chlal. So why were these secular Jews celebrating Yudtes Kislev, as Rabbi Druckmann was talking about? Is because they come from Chabad. They come from Chabad. So Chanukah also could be a secular holiday. Some people who are very educated actually light a candle, extra candle for the Yidden that were killed by the Maccabim. Those were cosmopolitan Jews. Thanks to them, we have the education today. Oh my Lord, I got to stop. This is amazing. You don't know what's going on here. So thanks to them, we have the system of yeshivas. Yeshivas were thanks to the Hellenistic Jews, not the Jews who became secular, and not to the zealots, but to the ones in between who used the education system as a model for future Judaism. So thanks to the losers of the Chanukah story, they actually won. Thank you for watching Shade of a Chamish.